The pursuit of perfection in football, in my opinion, is killing the beautiful game and is taking individualism out of it. This is going to be a different kind of video today because I'm not going to be coming to you as a Spurs fan. I'm going to be coming to you as a football fan. This is something I feel very, very strongly about, and after watching yesterday's Manchester derby, I wanted to come on here and discuss it with you guys. I believe that year by year football is becoming more and more systematic, and because of that we are seeing less and less moments of individual brilliance. Players year by year are becoming more and more scared of losing the ball in case they get slated by their manager, that they don't take risks. And when you remove risks out of football, that's when the entertainment value starts to decrease in the beautiful game. Some leagues have it worse than others. La Liga, I would say, has it terribly. Serie A, on the other hand, many people call it boring. You don't see every single manager micromanaging the game, micromanaging players, not allowing them to leave their positions. Serie A is one of the most entertaining leagues at the minute because everything isn't micromanaged, and the Premier League has been for many years, but I feel that year by year everything is becoming more robotic. Players are scared to move out of their positions. Players are scared to take on their men in case they lose the ball. They're afraid to take risks, and this just leads to boring games like we saw yesterday, like we saw the weekend before, the weekend before that, the weekend before. You're getting a few games every single weekend now that are just so boring because there are managers that are telling players, as I say, to keep such control over the ball, to keep possession, that the players are then afraid of losing it. You're taking individual brilliance out of the beautiful game. That's why it's such a breath of fresh air now when you watch the Champions League and you see a team like PSG. You see a manager letting two quick wingers, who their strengths are taking on their men, do what they want, allowing them to leave their positions, allowing them to free roam. Does Kvaratskhelia lose the ball quite a bit? Yeah. Does Dembele lose the ball quite a bit? Yeah. Does Doué? Yeah. But you see them scoring bangers pretty much every few weeks. And that's because they're allowed to take on their men. They're not afraid of losing the ball because they know they won't get slated for it. And they know every now and then they'll bang one top bins because they're taking those risks and they've got that quality. You're looking at the Premier League right now. Jack Grealish is so capable of curling one in top bins, but he hasn't done it in 3 years at Manchester City because he said himself he's so afraid of losing the ball. Everything is about possessions, good stats. What happened to playground football, the excitement as a child of getting into the beautiful game, of impersonating the stars, trying to take on 3 or 4 men and smash one into the back of the onion bag? When you're younger, you don't dream of scoring a brilliant team goal where everyone's tippy-tapping it about and it leads to a lovely tap-in, do you? You dream of banging one top bins, heading in a last-minute winner. You're seeing a lack of crossing now in the Premier League because of the amount of inverted wing-backs. You're seeing wing-backs inverted, telling managers to say, get the wingers to hug the touchline. Wing-backs come inside, wingers out wide, pass it in for a tap-in. Everything feels like it has to lead to a tap-in. Everything feels like it has to lead to the perfect goal. You're seeing less and less direct football, less and less long balls up, less and less crosses, and therefore less and less moments of individual brilliance. Because when you've got 22 players on a football pitch in a game, a majority of them are being told by their respective managers that if they lose the ball, they might not get picked next week. I just really feel like it's killing individual quality. Season by season, you're seeing less and less moments of individual brilliance in the world of football, and especially in the Premier League. I'll talk most about that because that's the league that I watch. That's the league that I love. I'm looking at the Premier League this season. How many unbelievable goals have I seen? I'm really struggling to think of a few. I really am. I'm watching teams like Liverpool, they're top of the league, but am I ever impressed when watching them? Am I ever entertained? As good as Salah's been, scoring the amount of goals that he has, do you ever see him take on 3 or 4 men and smash one top bins or try and sprint it past someone? No. A lot of his goals where it's been played nicely into him and he's got a shot straight on. I just feel like you're watching the top teams in this league, and so many of them are so concerned about losing the ball that it leads to players not willing to take risks. And because these players are micromanaged, they don't start to leave their positions. And when players don't like to leave their positions, that's when you get 22 robots on the pitch. There are teams in the Premier League that have been a breath of fresh air. I talked about players and PSG in France. I think Newcastle in the Premier League. Everyone seems to slate Eddie Howe for not having a set system, not having a set way. Yeah, because he adapts, he changes tactics week by week. And that's why you see more moments of individual brilliance from them, albeit less than other leagues still and less than before in the Premier League, but more moments of individual brilliance from them and players in their team than you do a lot of the other top teams. Because Eddie Howe's allowing Isak, a top striker, to try and hold up play, take on a few men and shoot it. Occasionally he'll miss, but who cares? Go again, man. He's got to bang it in top bins at one point because he's got that quality. You're seeing Anthony Gordon take on men. You're seeing Bruno, Tonali pull out some skills. You know, Forest are another team. People slate them for sitting back, but they're quick on the counter-attack. Hudson-Odoi, Elanga, because they sit back, those players have got the freedom when they break to have that space. Players just aren't playing with that freedom in the Premier League and in world football at the minute. And a lot of it, in my opinion, for all good that they've done for the game, is down to managers like Pep Guardiola, who have made goalkeepers now from a young age have to train playing the ball out from the back. You're watching that Manchester derby yesterday, you're seeing Edison and Onana rolling the ball under their feet for about 5 seconds. It's just so robotic. It's so robotic. Every player has to be in their specific position. If they step out of that position, there's a space there, and then the opposition can attack that space by scoring a tap-in eventually. No! Smash it long, have the big man flick it onto the winger, and have him attempt to take on 3 or 4 men and smash one top bins. If it goes tits up, who cares? Because it's bound to work at some point. It takes the enjoyment out of watching football as a fan. When I watch football, do I want to see Pep Guardiola and Amorim have a game of chess? Do I want to see them tactically try and figure out where the mistake's going to be and try and score that perfect goal? No, I don't. I want to see physicality. I want to see shoulder barges. I want to see goalkeepers smashing it up top. I want to see banging goals, banging assists, wing-backs and wingers smashing it into the box for a cross, trying to take on their men, players pulling out unbelievably skillful moments. Where's that going in the Premier League? It still exists, but just about. That's why when people say football's dead, I disagree with that. But it's dying. Individualism is dying. Systematic football and robotic football is killing the beautiful game. And it's down to managers like Guardiola, Enzo Maresca, Ange Postecoglou, who are so set in one specific way. They're obsessed with scoring the perfect goal. And it kills individualism and it kills players who have potential to be unbelievable. Grealish is a perfect example. At Aston Villa, given that freedom, fantastic. Where's the creativity gone in football? It's dying out because everything's about scoring that perfect goal with everyone in their set specific position where we can all tippy-tappy it around and it leads to a tap-in. How many Spurs goals, right? And I'm not talking as a Spurs fan here, I'm talking more as a football fan, but Spurs are an example of a team that play with a high line inverted fullbacks. Everyone calls them entertaining. Okay, what I would class as entertaining. When I watch a game of football, what do I want to see? I want to see loads of goals. I want to see skill. I want to see moments of individual brilliance. Do you get any of that with Spurs? No. Do you get a high press? Yeah. Do you get a high line? Yeah. But it's inverted fullbacks, and when we get the ball, it's tippy-tappy. It's obsession with controlling possession, and the stats looking good for us post-match and scoring that perfect goal. How many stunners have we scored from outside the box this season? I can't think of one. I genuinely can't think of one. There's probably been, and this is just an estimate and a guess, 3 or 4. Under Maurizio Pochettino, how many was that? 9 or 10 a season. Years before that, you know, early 2000s, early noughties, how many was that? Probably 15, 16. And when I talk to my dad about it, he says this: where have the players gone, like your Hoddles, your Ginolas from a Spurs perspective, your Henrys from an Arsenal point of view, you know, your Zolas from a Chelsea point of view? These skillful, unbelievable players who were given freedom to play at their best. What have we got now? We've got Rodri, who's fantastic at what he does, but is praised for doing the basics unbelievably well. Everyone is so heavily praised for doing the basics so well. He does his job well. He does his job. Where's that individual quality gone? He does his job. He does his job. No, I want to talk about a player and go, they're exceptional because they scored this banger last week, or they did this, you know, nutmeg or meg nuts in the words of Brad Bobley. Where's that gone, man? You know, the individual quality that the Premier League used to have and that football used to have is dying out, and we're seeing more and more Players that are so fearful of losing the ball in case it looks bad on them when it comes to the stats after the game that they refuse to take on their men, and it leads to 22 robotic players on that pitch, and it's boring. It's really, really boring. As I say, it's not killed football yet because there still are teams in the Prem. Newcastle, Palace, Forest that I enjoy watching, you know. There are still teams in world football, European football, PSG, for example, that I enjoy watching. But everything feels so systematic now, and it really, really feels like you're killing individual brilliance because of it. I don't like it. I really, really don't like it. Different kind of video. I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions on it. If you do disagree, please do comment down below. At times, I might not have made perfect sense in this video, but speaking from the heart, it's something I feel very passionately about, and I feel like it's leading to a more boring game, a more systematic game, and we're seeing less moments of individual brilliance and quality in games of football, especially in the league that most of us watching this video, most of you watching this video will watch, and that's the Premier League. Take care, guys. Hope you all have a blessed day.